3:40 in the morning. The sky above Rostov-on-Don is pitch black, cloaked in storm clouds and battered by gusts of over 60 kilometers per hour. A FlyDubai Boeing 737 with 62 people on board aligns with the runway. They've already tried once. It didn't work. They've spent more than 2 hours circling in the sky, waiting for the right moment to land. Now, they're going to try again. The plane begins its final descent. The wind shakes the fuselage. Visibility is near zero. Suddenly, a warning blares in the cockpit. Pull up! Pull up! And in an instant, the aircraft plunges nose first toward the ground at over 600 kilometers per hour. There was no time to react, no second chance. What happened to FlyDubai Flight 981 wasn't a technical failure. It was a silent tragedy, built in the sky, minute by minute. What caused an experienced crew flying a perfectly functional aircraft to crash just meters from the runway after nearly 3 hours in the air? This is the story of the FlyDubai Boeing 737 flight. Are you ready? Let's get started. On March 19, 2016, FlyDubai Flight 981 took off from Dubai, headed to Rostov-on-Don, a city in southwestern Russia. It was a nighttime, low-cost flight with 62 people on board, 55 passengers and 7 crew members. At the controls, Captain Aristos Sokratus, an experienced pilot from Cyprus with over 5,700 flight hours. Beside him, First Officer Alejandro Oliva Cruz from Spain, young but well-trained and capable. Both men were familiar with this route. They had flown it many times before. The aircraft was a Boeing 737-800 in excellent condition, just 5 years old. Everything was routine: the flight plan, the departure, the onboard systems. But there was one threat they couldn't control: the weather at their destination. And from the very beginning, they knew this night wouldn't be easy. At 1:30 a.m., FlyDubai 981 begins its final approach to Rostov-on-Don Airport. But from the cockpit, the view is disturbing. Strong crosswinds, heavy rain, and low clouds reduce visibility to almost zero. The runway appears and disappears, the aircraft shakes, landing gear is down, and just 340 meters above ground, the pilots decide to abort the landing. They perform what's called a go-around. In aviation, a go-around is not an emergency. It's a safe, even routine decision when landing conditions aren't stable. But here's the problem. The weather won't improve, and there are no nearby airports with better conditions. So Flight 981 climbs again and starts circling above Rostov, waiting. What no one knows yet is that this wait will mark the beginning of the end. Minutes after the go-around, Flight 981 remains in a holding pattern, circling above Rostov-on-Don. The wind doesn't let up. The rain keeps falling. Visibility stays near zero. Other aircraft make a different call. They divert to alternate airports, but FlyDubai 981 keeps waiting. What initially seemed like a tactical decision soon turns into a psychological strain. The crew has now spent over 2 hours in the air with no clear outcome. Fatigue begins to set in, and here comes a silent enemy: exhaustion. Studies have shown that fatigue can reduce a pilot's reaction time as much as alcohol. After hours of nighttime flight, intense focus, and non-stop stress, the mind wears down. Reflexes dull. Judgment weakens. No one on board realizes it, but they are getting dangerously close to the moment when good decisions stop being made, and the worst is still ahead. But before continuing, if you like this video, please subscribe. It will help me a lot. 3:40 a.m. After nearly 3 hours in the air, the pilots of Flight 981 decide to try one more time. The second approach begins with careful maneuvers, but the wind is still fierce and visibility hasn't improved. At about 220 meters above ground, the aircraft begins to destabilize. It drifts slightly off course. The crew decides to abort the landing again. They initiate a go-around. The captain pushes the throttles to full power, but makes a fatal mistake. Unknowingly, he pulls back sharply on the controls, raising the nose far beyond what the aircraft can handle. The Boeing 737 pitches up aggressively, loses speed, and drops nose first. Within seconds, the aircraft transitions from climbing to falling, almost vertically. It hits the ground at over 600 kilometers per hour. The plane disintegrates on impact. There are no survivors. It all happened in less than 20 seconds. And in that brief window, there was no time to fix it, no time to even understand it. It was a moment, as brutal as it was irreversible.
The investigation after the crash found no technical faults in the aircraft, no maintenance issues, no system failures. The Boeing 737 was working perfectly. What happened that morning was a tragic case of human error, triggered by a silent mix of factors: extreme fatigue, growing tension, hostile weather, and a cockpit where, under pressure, decisions stopped being clear. In the final seconds, the captain correctly initiated a go-around, but performed the maneuver with excessive nose-up angle. The aircraft climbed too steeply, lost speed, and fell. Neither he nor his co-pilot had time to react. Investigators concluded that spatial disorientation also played a key role. In darkness, storm, and exhaustion, the brain can lose track of what's up and what's down. And when that happens 300 meters from the ground, the margin for error vanishes. FlyDubai Flight 981 left a painful lesson that in aviation, the biggest threat isn't always mechanical. Sometimes, it lives in the tired mind of the person flying the plane. Today, a monument in Rostov-on-Don bears the names of the 62 souls who never came home. Because one night, circling over an impossible runway, the sky became their cage, and the earth their fate. And in that instant, everything changed forever.